Good day. So in this lecture video, we will be discussing the answers to the problem-solving portion of your final pre-boards in financial accounting and reporting. So in our final pre-boards, the first item of problem solving is number 9. Okay? So number 9, what amount should be reported as total current liabilities? So dito gagawin lang natin is hahanapin natin dito sa list ng items na binigay sa atin ni company kung alin dito yung mga ika-classify natin as current liabilities. Okay? Now, for accounts payable, since it is initially net of creditors debit balance of 200,000, kailangan nating i-add back yan kasi pag sinabi nating creditors debit balance, that is treated as current asset. No? Hindi natin yan pwedeng i-neto sa accounts payable. Okay? Next, accrued expense. So that is normally current liability. Bonds payable. Oh, bakit hindi natin kasali sa sagot ng number 9 si bonds payable? That is because our current year end is December 31, 2022, but the maturity date of the bonds payable is still December 31, 2024. That is still beyond 12 months. Okay? Next, deferred tax liability. So even if it is expected to reverse next year, IAS 12 states that deferred taxes are non-current. Okay? Yan. So hindi natin titignan kung kailan ang expected reversal ng mga deferred taxes natin, no? So it will always be classified as non-current. Next, income tax payable. So that is related to your current tax liability. Kaya kasali yan sa sagot natin. Cash dividends payable. So normally that is payable within a short span of time, no? So hindi naman siguro siya lalagpas ng 12 months, okay? So if cash dividends payable is silent, ang presumption natin is babayaran siya within 12 months, okay? Next, share dividends payable. So this is not a liability. So based on our discussion of shareholders equity under dividends, di ba? Share dividends payable is not a liability but an equity account. Next, may dalawang notes payable tayo. Notes payable 6%. Bakit natin siya nasali dito even if siya ay na-refinance on a long-term basis? That is because kailan ba natapos yung refinancing agreement? That is already after December 31. So even if na-refinance siya on a long-term basis but it was completed after the reporting period, it will still be classified as current liability for 2023, for 2022. Okay? Next, for the 8% naman, bakit siya hindi na nasali under current liabilities? That is because the company has the discretion to refinance the obligation for at least 12 months after December 31, 2022. Di ba? So, kung yung discretion niya to refinance or roll over the liability for at least 12 months after the year end, and it is already existing on or before the reporting date, then it will be, or the liability will be classified as non-current. Okay? So, final answer, 6.2 million. And that is letter B. Next, numbers 10 and 11. So this is about your statement of cash flows. So ang tanong, number 10, what amount should be reported as net cash used in investing activities? And number 11, net cash provided by financing activities. All right? First bullet, ano ba to? Purchased a building for 2.4 million, paid 800,000 and signed a mortgage with the seller for the remaining amount. Since this is a statement of cash flow, ang focus natin would be cash movements lang. Okay? So ano ba yung binayaran dito? It's only 800,000. Okay? And pag naglabas tayo ng pera, attributable to a fixed asset, ano ang appropriate classification natin? That is investing. Okay? So outflow siya ng investing activity, therefore negative 800,000. Okay? Next. Yung second bullet naman, kaya hindi siya kasali sa computation, that is because this is not a cash flow activity. No? Ano bang debt to equity swap? Kinonvert mo ang liability into an equity. So, walang lumabas na pera for the second bullet. Okay? Kaya hindi siya kasali sa SCF natin. Third, Purchased land for 2 million, paid 700,000, and issued ordinary shares worth 1.3 million. So similar siya ito sa first bullet natin, no? Ang i-consider lang natin sa SCF ay yung cash movement. So since naglabas ulit tayo ng pera in relation to the acquisition of a fixed asset, then it will be classified as investing activity. Next. Last bullet, borrowed 1.1 million under a long-term loan agreement. Used the cash from the loan proceeds to purchase additional inventory for 300,000 and to pay cash dividends of 600,000 and to increase the cash balance by 200,000. Oh. So first, nanghiram tayo. So it is a borrowing activity classified as financing. Okay? Next. Next natin. Bakit 600,000 lang yung dineduct natin dito? That is because pag nagbabayad tayo ng cash dividends, that is an equity transaction. Di ba ang equity transaction classified as financing, right? Now, ba't hindi natin pinansin yung 300,000? That is because it is an operating activity. Naintindihan? And wala naman sa requirements natin si operating, so we simply ignore the 300,000 here. Okay? Yan. So, sagot natin for numbers 10 and 11. So, number 10, negative 1.5 million. So, that is letter B. And number 11, that is 500,000. Letter A. Okay? Now, pansinin nyo, naka-negative yung 1.5 natin, di ba? Tapos positive yung 500,000. Pag naka-negative yung ating amount under a certain cash flow activity, it means mas malaki yung outflow kaysa sa inflow. Okay? So, ang tawag natin dyan, used. Okay? Net cash use. Pero kapag yung amount natin ay positive naman, ibig sabihin, mas malaki yung inflow kaysa sa outflow. So, ang tawag natin dyan, net cash provided. Okay? Yan. So, makikita nyo yan dun sa numbers 10 and 11. Okay? Next. Number 12. Okay, haba-haba ng gagawin pero isa lang ang tinanong, no? Diluted earnings per share. So, sabi natin sa klase, kapag EPS, tapos tinatanong yung diluted, kailangan alam natin kung magkano yung basic EPS natin. Kasi ang basic EPS natin, that will serve as the ceiling. Okay? Meaning, ang diluted EPS, hindi dapat yan tataas kaysa sa basic EPS natin. Okay? So, number 12 involves multiple potential ordinary shares, right? So kapag ganyan, kailangan mo silang i-rank according to their EPS adjustment. So paano nga ulit tayo mag-rank, guys? Is it smallest to largest or largest to smallest? Answer, smallest to largest. Okay? So ano ba yung mga potential ordinary shares natin dito? Number 1, meron tayong number 1, nasaan na ba yun? Yung preference share that is not to be considered as potential ordinary. Teka, nasa na ba ako nakatingin? Sorry. So, number 1, meron tayong preference shares, no? Convertible daw. Ayan, so that is one potential ordinary share. Another, meron din tayong convertible bonds. And number 3, we have options. Okay? Ayan. Now, pag i-rank natin sila, syempre, mauna yung smallest EPS adjustment. And since may options tayo dito, siya palagi yung number 1 kasi wala tayong nagiging adjustment on the numerator attributable to your share options. Okay? Yan. Next. So, kita natin sa screen natin kung sino yung mga ranks 1, 2, and 3 natin. Ano? Then, according to that rank, iisa-isahin nyo siyang i-adjust doon sa numerator and denominator na ginamit natin sa basic EPS. Okay? So number 1, nasaan na ba yun? So yung una nating in-adjust from your basic EPS is yung share options, di ba? So ang diluted EPS number 1 natin is 1.34. So since naging ano po siya, naging lower than the basic EPS, we proceed to the next computation, which is your diluted EPS number 2. Ang ipapasok naman natin dyan is yung sa bonds. So according to our ranking, so sabi dito, incremental income ng bonds is 168,000. So that is the after-tax interest cost. And the incremental number of shares is 200,000 ordinary shares. So for your diluted EPS number 2, add 168,000 on the numerator. of your diluted EPS number 1 and add 200,000 to the denominator of your diluted EPS number 2. So ang lumabas, your second diluted EPS is 1.25. So since naging mas mababa siya sa diluted EPS number 1 natin, then we proceed. Okay? Next. Number 3. Ano ba number 3 natin? Isa pang convertible bonds, di ba? So para sa 10% bonds natin, incremental income, which is still the after-tax interest cost of 175,000 and incremental number of shares is 125,000. So be guided of our solution here. Okay? Now, nung in-integrate natin yung potential ordinary share number 3, lumalabas ang diluted EPS number 3 mo ay tumaas na from your diluted EPS number 2. So, isa lang ibig sabihin yan, anti-dilutive ang effect ng pangalawang bonds natin or convertible bonds. So, in that case, hindi na natin siya pwedeng i-proceed. So, we stop at the lowest diluted EPS, which is your number 2. So, our final answer for number 12 is letter A, 1.25. All right? Next, numbers 13 to 15. So this is about your cash and cash equivalents, no? So number 1, adjusted cash in bank, land bank on December 31, 2022. Bank reconciliation yan, guys. Ito lang yon, di ba? So, ang babantayan nyo lang dito, okay? Ang babantayan lang natin dito, guys, is yung number 1, yung posting error, no? So, ano ba yung sabi sa letter B? Posting error ng bangko. Okay? So, ang tamang amount ng check is 37,600 pero ano yung na-clear niya? 28,600. So, meaning kulang yung disbursement, di ba? Yung side ng disbursement. So, that is an error as of December 31. So, kailangan natin siyang, i-add. Di ba? Ito, i-add natin. Okay? So, cleared by the bank as 28,600. Sorry, not a disbursement but rather a check received. Di ba? Ayan. Take note ha. Pag sinabing cleared, okay? Pag sinabing cleared, yan yung credit. Okay? Credit sa bank account mo. Alright? So, since kulang yung credit, then kailangan natin dagdagan yung bank side natin. Okay? Next. Yung sa deposit in transit natin. Ano ba yung sabi sa deposit in transit? Di ba sabi 681,250 yung deposit in transit natin? And sa letter E, biglang may post-dated checks daw tayo na 336,500 na na-include sa DIT natin. Okay? So, meaning, kailangan mo i-adjust pa yung DIT mo kasi may mga invalid cash items ka pa pala sa kanya. No? So, first, ang ginawa na lang natin is sa trial balance or sa libro natin, tinanggal natin yung post-dated checks. Sir, bakit natin tinanggal yung post-dated checks sa libro? That is because dahil nasali siya sa deposit in transit, ibig sabihin na sali siya sa computation ng DIT, which is incorrect kasi hindi pa sila cash as of December 31, 2022. Okay? Yan. So pag nakita nyo na na-include sa DIT yung mga post-dated checks, indicator yon na na-include siya sa cash balance reported by the company. Okay? Yan. So parehas mong babawasan ng 336,500 yung libro at yung sa DIT mo. Okay? Yan. So for number 13, your answer should be letter B. 2163554 books and the bank. Okay? Next, number 14. Petty cash fund. So ano ba nangyari dito? May ni-report daw na PCFC company na 150,000. According to our second bullet, meron tayong mga expense vouchers dated January 2023, 'di ba? So meaning yung mga amounts na ito which is 29,515, hindi pa sila nilalabas as of December 31 but rather nilabas na sila beyond or after your December 31. Okay? Yan. So ang i-minus lang natin sa PCF impress balance nating 150,000 is expense vouchers dated 2022. Okay? Tapos, yung cash advance Okay, yung cash advance amounting to 17,500 since that is dated 2022, ibabawas din natin yan kasi lumabas na siya as of December 31, 2022. Okay, so for number 14, your answer should be 51 to 50. Then for number 15, magkano yung magiging total cash and cash equivalents natin on December 31, 2022 statement of financial position? So, sagot natin dyan, letter A. So, tatlo lang yung laman ha. Yung adjusted cash in bank mo sa land bank, yung sagot mo sa number 13. Tapos yung adjusted PCF mo na naging sagot mo sa number 15. And don't forget about the 90-day time deposit because that is a cash equivalent account. Okay? So, sagot natin, letter A. Ay, ano ba to? Tama, letter A, di ba? Oo. Yan, palitan ko na lang to. 27,214,800. Next, number 16 and 17. So similar ito sa naging problem natin sa handout on accounts receivable, no? So, dito, accounts receivable yung kailangan nating kukumputin para makompute natin si number 16, which is your uncollectible accounts expense. Okay? So, tatandaan nyo kapag accounts receivable, ang laman yan ay, number 1, syempre, beginning. Tapos, yung nagpapataas sa kanya is gross credit sales. Right? Then, yung nagpapabawas naman sa kanya ay yung mga accounts collected, 'di ba? Take note, yung accounts collected must be gross of cash discounts, right? That's why kung titingnan nyo, ginross up natin yung mga collections. Okay? Kasi yung mga collections natin dito, nakanet na ng kanilang mga respective discounts, 'di ba? Yan. So kailangan nyo siyang i-gross up to 100%. Okay? Next, ano pa? Yung write-offs, yung mga credit memos from returns and allowances. Okay? Yan. Tapos, yung cash refunds, ibig sabihin, sales returns din naman yan pero related siya sa cash sales. So, therefore, wag nyo siyang isali sa accounts receivable. Okay? Tapos, yung sakali may mga na-recover tayo, don't forget to restate or ibalik ulit yung ni-write off mong accounts dati. No? Kasi, pag nag-collect ka ng accounts previously written off, dapat wala yung effect sa accounts receivable mo. Okay? Ah, So ang naging ending accounts receivable natin is 2,425,000. Next, to compute for your uncollectible accounts expense, gagawin natin yan sa allowance for uncollectible accounts. So ano naman ang laman ng allowance for uncollectible accounts? That will be beginning, uh, yung uncollectible accounts expense natin, yung restatement, at yung write-off. Okay? Ayan. So ang nagiging ano natin dito guys, okay, required allowance for uncollectible accounts balance on December 31, 2022 is 10% of the ending AR. So that will be 242,500. Okay? Then, i-work back lang natin siya doon sa T account natin. Tapos, ang makukuha nating uncollectible accounts expense is letter A, 192,500. Then for number 17, magkano daw yung i-report nating AR sa SFP natin? It must be net of allowance. Okay? That's why ang naging sagot natin is 2,182,500. Okay? And that is letter A. Next, number 20. What is the CV of the investment in associate on December 31, 2022? Yung pag-account natin sa investment in ASO, equity method. Okay? So meaning, yung balanse ng investment natin ay maapektuhan ng share in profits and losses, share in OCI, tapos cash dividends from your associate. 'Di ba? Yan. Tapos yung investment income natin guys, okay? Kailangan adjusted yan, no? Dapat nakabase sa adjusted net income ng ASOC natin or ng investee. Okay? So kung makikita nyo bakit tayo may amortization dito, that is because of the undervaluation of the investee's intangible asset. 'Di ba? So undervalued daw siya ng magkano? Hindi siya binanggit pero alam natin kung paano natin siya malalaman. Paano yun, sir? 'Di ba? Ang i-compare mo lang diyan is yung ating cost ng investment, right? Now, the carrying amount of the acquired net assets is 6 million. Okay? So yung entire difference, okay? Yung entire difference ng cost ng investment at ng CV nung net assets acquired, that is attributable to the undervaluation of the intangible asset. Okay? Kaya 1 million yung ating tinatawag na purchase differential or UVA, no? UVA. Okay? Kulang daw kasi. All right? So, you will have to amortize that over the asset's remaining life of 10 years. Okay? Yan. So, dahil kulang ang value ng asset, meaning ma-overstate yung ating net income. Okay? Yan. So, the adjusted investment income should be 260,000. Then, don't forget about the cash dividends from your ASOC, which is 20% of 600,000. So, your answer should be letter dog for number 20. Next, numbers 21 and 22. So, this is about debt investments, di ba? Number 21. Business model is to hold and collect contractual cash flows that are SPPI. So, anong classification dapat to? It must be at amortized cost. Di ba? So, ang tinatanong dito, magkano yung interest income, magkano yung CV, magkano yung unrealized gain on fair value changes. Yung interest income, it must be based on your effective interest method. So that is CV beginning times effective rate. So ang sagot mo sa number 1, 379,360. Tapos, yung CV, it must be based on the CV under your amortization schedule. So ang sagot mo naman dapat sa number 2 is 4,821,360. Then for number 3, unrealized gain, 0 dapat. Kasi pag amortized cost classification, we do not account for fair value changes. Alright? So number 21, letter A. 22, business model, collect cash flows, SPPI, and to sell the bonds in the open market. So this is a characteristic of at FVTOCI. Okay? Pag FVTOCI, yung interest income, it is still based on your amortization schedule. Kaya parehas sila ng amortized cost. Number 2, yung CV naman niya, it must be based at fair value at year end. So, multiply natin yung face amount niya by the quoted price of 105, di ba? Tapos, yun ang magiging fair value at year end natin. So, number 2 natin, 5.25 million yan. Then, for number 3, unrealized gain to be presented in your SFP. So, that will be the difference between its fair value and the balance per amortization schedule. Okay? Ayan. So, yung OCI unrealized gain natin is 428,640. So, for number 22, your answer should be letter B. Next, number 25. How much were the discounts lost? It is about your inventory. So, ang gagawin nyo lang dito, first, computein nyo yung allowable discount. Okay? Ang basis ng allowable discount natin is yung net amount after returns and allowances. Okay? So, dalawa ang pinagkuhaan ni company dito, si XYZ at si MNO. Okay? So ano yung discount rates daw? So kay XYZ, that's 3%, and kay MNO, 2%. Okay? Yan. So pasok naman siya within the 10-day discount period. Tama ba? Pasok ba yan? Walang sinabi, di ba? Pero alam natin yung discount period natin is 10 days lang. Okay? So ang total allowable discount natin kay XYZ is 3% of 385,600. So that's 11,568. And yung kay MNO, that's 2% of 198,400. 3968. Total, 15,536. Tapos, ilang discount lang ang nakuha daw during the year? 8,872. So minus mo lang yan dito sa total allowable discount. Discount loss is the difference, and that is 6,664. And your answer should be letter A. Next, number 26. How much inventory should be shown in Sweet Tooth Company's December 31 SFP? Pag ipipresent mo ang inventory, it must be LCNRV. So, you will do the comparison item by item basis. Okay? So, Class A, Class B, Class C. Yan. So, gagawin lang natin is i-compare lang natin yung cost at NRV, then we pick whichever is lower. Okay? Yan. So, item by item lang ha. Ayan. Then, kung ano yung LCNRV natin, i-multiply natin sa number of sacks per class. Okay? So, your answer should be 777,500. And that is letter A. Oh, 27. How much is the cost of land acquired in ABCD? Oh, isa-isahin nyo lang yan. So, sa letter A check was issued for 800,000 as payment for a piece of land, and the buyer assumed the liability for unpaid taxes in arrears to 20,000, and those assessed for the current year 18,000. Oh, ang i-capitalize lang natin ay yung taxes in arrears. Okay? Do not capitalize the taxes for the current year kasi that is treated as expense. Okay? Ang i-capitalize lang po is yung taxes in arrears. Kaya yung letter A natin, 820,000 ang acquisition cost. Okay? Next, letter B. Oh, acquisition of land, no? Acquisition of land through issuance of shares. So ano nga ulit ang hierarchy natin diyan? Number one, fair value of land, right? Tapos kung hindi siya available, fair value of shares. Then ano yung nasa pinakababa natin? That is the par value of shares. Since available yung fair value ng land, which is the appraised value, yun yung gagamitin mo. Kaya letter B, 1.6 million. Okay? Next. Letter C, ganun ulit. Purchase of land for issuance of shares, di ba? So dito hindi binigay kung magkano yung fair value ng land. So bababa tayo sa pangalawa, which is the fair value of shares. Since available na siya, gagamitin mo yung market value ng shares. Okay? So letter C is 15.6 million. Then for last one, letter D, ito naman may down payment and issuance of non-interest bearing note. Okay? So dito naman iba-iba yung payments, no? Iba-iba yung payments niya. So ang gagawin mo diyan is ipe-present value natin. Okay? Yan. So 240,000, that will be based on your PV of 1 for 1 period, and your 160,000, it will be based on PV of 1 for 3 periods naman. Okay? So your answer for letter D should be 538,400. So number 27, final answer B. Next, number 28. What is the gain or loss recorded by the company upon disposal of the asset? O dito, basic formula natin is selling price versus CV on the date of sale, di ba? So selling price is 6.75 million, okay? So ang kailangan na lang natin ma-compute is yung carrying value, no? So yung carrying value naman is depende kung nagko-cost model ba o nagre-revaluation model yung company. So sabi rito, nagre-revaluation model siya, di ba? So yung carry value, it must be based on the fair value on the date of revaluation, no? Yung CV, okay? So, yung fair value, i-depreciate mo yan over the remaining useful life of the asset. Okay? So, starting 2021, ang remaining life is 10 years na lang. Tapos, kailan binenta daw? January 1, 2025. So, ilang years mo i-depreciate dapat? 21, 22, 23, 24. 4 years. Okay? So fair value less act debt for 4 years, that will be your CV on the date of sale. So your answer should be 150,000 gain. And that is letter Apple. Next, 29. So this is about investment property, no? What is the gain to be recognized for 2022 with respect to the investment property? So to compute for the gain, you will simply compare the fair value at year-end versus the total cost of property. Kasi tatandaan nyo, ang initial measurement ng investment property is cost. Okay? Now, at the end of the year, kailangan lang natin siyang malaman kung naka-fair value model ba yan or cost model, di ba? So dito walang binanggit kung cost or fair value model, di ba? So titingnan natin yung choices. May zero ba? Wala. So ibig sabihin naka-fair value model yung company dito, di ba? So ganun guys kapag sa board exam, okay? Pag nakikita nyo na parang may kulang yung yung problem, parang may kulang, may hindi sinasabi. Tignan mo yung choices. Okay? Ite-test mo yung choices kung ganun. Since walang zero dito, ibig lang sabihin yan, fair value model yung ginagamit dito. Okay? Ayan. So fair value versus cost, your answer should be letter Apple. 400,000. Okay? Next, number 30. This is intangible assets, no? So what amount should be charged against income in 2022 if amortization is recorded at the end of each year? So dito ang nangyari, pagdating ng December 31, 2022, permanently withdraw na yung product na pinoprotektahan ng patent, di ba? Because of a potential health hazard in the product. So in that case, ang magiging total expense na i-charge mo sa income statement mo will be the CV, okay? Yung amortization expense for the year plus impairment loss. And the impairment loss is computed as the CV of the asset on December 31, 2022. Okay? So ang sagot natin is letter C, 630,000. Next, number 31. Dito tinatanong tayo ng gain due to physical change. So pag gain due to physical change, you will compare the fair value less cost to sell of the updated age of the animals versus its fair value less cost to sell on December 31 based on the previous age. Okay? And don't forget to include the newborn animal during the year kasi that is considered a physical change also. Okay ba? So sagot natin, letter C. Okay? So ganyan yung computations po natin. Okay? Next, number 32. This is about assets held for sale. Okay? What is the carrying amount that should be reported in the SFP on December 31, 2022? So ang rule natin dyan, it is the lower between the CV had the asset not been classified as held for sale versus its recoverable amount. And the recoverable amount is, higher between fair value less cost to sell and, value in use. So lumalabas siya dito, fair value less cost to sell yung available. So that is understood na siya na yung recoverable amount natin. Okay? Given na rin pala yung CV ng ating asset if it was not been classified as HFS. So kukunin mo lang yung lower amount between the two. No? So sagot mo is 4.25 million. Letter Apple. Next. Number 33. What amount should be reported as accounts payable on December 31, 2022? So dito, i-adjust lang natin yung reported accounts payable for the bullets for adjustments, no? So, bullet number 1, this is a case of, ano to, may overdraft, tapos yung mga cheque daw na nag-cost ng overdraft is 2 million, pero napadala sila ng next year na, no? So in that case, you will add back the undelivered checks. So connected siya sa cash and cash equivalents natin for unreleased checks. Di ba pag unreleased checks, ina-add back natin sa cash? So binabalik din natin siya sa accounts payable, no? Kasi ang ano natin dito, ang concept natin, nung sinulat yung cheque, ni-record agad siya as disbursement, which is debit AP, credit cash. Eh, since hindi pa pala napapadala, di ba? Hindi pa pala napapadala. So, ibabalik mo yan sa cash and at the same time sa accounts payable. Okay? Next. For bullet number 2, this is a case of unrecorded purchase, no? Na-record na daw yung invoice next year na. Eh, kailan ba naganap yung ano, yung pag-receive ng goods? December 28. So dapat kasali yan sa accounts payable. And the company records purchases and AP at net amount. So ang i-record mo is net of discount na, di ba? So it should be 735,000. And for bullet number 3, bakit hindi kasali? That is because the shipping term is FOB destination and the goods were received January 8, 2023 pa. So, hindi siya kasali sa accounts payable natin, no? So, final answer, 7,235,000, letter Apple. Okay, so number 35. So what amount should be reported as interest for 2022? So take note, the bonds will mature on December 31, 2031, ano? Tapos yung interest is payable semi-annually June 30, December 31. So kapag kinompute nyo yung interest, dalawang beses nyo gagawin yung computation. One on June 30 and another one on December 31. Okay? Tapos since effective interest method tayo, ibabase po natin yan dito sa ating mga CVs na to. Okay? So your answer for number 35 should be letter dog, 1,065,096 pesos. Okay? Next, 36. What's the CV of the bonds on December 31, 2022? So, ganun lang din. Pwede mong gawin mag-amortization schedule ka or tawag dito, mag-shortcut method ka nung formula natin for shortcut, no? So, answer is letter A, 2415600. Next, number 37. What amount of pre-tax gain on extinguishment should the company report for the current year? So this is what? Asset swap, right? So pag asset swap, ang i-compare mo dyan is yung CV ng liability, which is composed of principal and accrued interest, versus the CV of the asset transferred. Okay? So, final answer, dog. Number 40. This is assurance type warranty, ano? So, ang gagawin mo rito is you will, teka, nasa na ba yun ako? Okay. So, warranty cost is 200 per unit sold and meron tayong reported liability for estimated warranty of 650,000 last year, di ba? Tapos, ang pinapakompute is yung warranty expense for 2022 and the warranty liability on year end. So, warranty expense, gagawin mo lang dyan is multiply the number of units sold by the warranty cost per unit. So, sagot mo is 1 million for number 1. Tapos sa number 2 naman, warranty liability. So beginning plus warranty expense less paid. No? So 900,000. So that is found in letter C. Number 41. So this is assurance type warranty ulit. No? So what amount should the company report as warranty liability on December 31, 2023? Okay? So may 2-year warranty against defects. The following are the projected warranty costs associated with sales. So 3% in the year of sale and 5% for the year after sale. Sales and warranty expenditures for 2022 and 2023 are, yan. So, gagawin lang natin is, i-cumulative lang natin guys. Ang gawin lang po natin is warranty expense 2022 and 2023. So that will be, magkano yung total sales for the 2 years? 800 plus 1 million, we got 1.8 million times. What's the total percent? 8%. Then minus total actual expenditures on warranty. And magkano ba yan? So 20,000 plus 70 minus 90. So ano ang magiging warranty layab natin as of December 31, 2023? So our answer should be 54,000. Okay? So number 41, letter A. Next, for number 43. What amount should be reported as unearned revenue from gift certificates? Oh, kukumpitin nyo lang dito is unearned income, di ba? So that's beginning plus sales of gift certificates during the current year less redemptions or gift certificate redemptions. Okay? So your final answer for number 43 is letter dog. 1.25 million. Next, number 44. What is the total amount to be recognized as provision on December 31, 2022? Sa first bullet, the court assessed a judgment for 1.6 million against the company. Entity is appealing the amount of the judgment and the attorneys believe it is probable that the assessment can be reduced by 50%. So, yung provision na isi-set up mo is yung 50% lang kasi probable naman na mababawasan siya ng kalahati. Next, bullet number 2. Meron na tayong ano dito, meron na tayong tawag dito obligating event, no? So probable that Pasig City will be successful but the amount of damages that the entity might have to pay should not exceed 1.5 million. So magsiset up na tayo ng provision na 1.5 million for bullet number 2. Bullet 3. Bakit wala tayong isinali for bullet number 3? That is because remote likelihood that the company will have to make payment on behalf of the debtor, no? Si Hot Sea Company, di ba? So dahil remote likelihood, we do not recognize that one. Okay? Number 4. Yung fourth bullet natin. So the entity has acknowledged the responsibility for that contamination. Therefore, magsiset up na tayo ng liability for an estimated amount of 500,000. Okay? Next. Number 5. So the company has been sued for patent infringement and lost the case. A preliminary judgment of 300,000 was issued and is under appeal. The attorneys agree that it is probable that the entity will lose the appeal. So mukhang matatalo daw tayo sa apilang ito. So we might as well set up a liability or a provision for that. Okay? And last one. So merong road accident na na-involve yung isang truck ng company. So lawsuit, 700,000 damages. The company's legal counsel believe it is probable that the owner will be awarded an estimated amount between 200 and 450 and no amount is better estimate than any other amount. Okay? So yan, midpoint tayo, no? So 325,000. So total provisions for all 6 bullets, 3,425,000, letter A. Number 45. Total shareholders equity at year end. So total sheet, natandaan nyo, nandito lang sila: share capital, subscribe share capital, share premium, retained earnings or deficit, other comprehensive income, and less treasury shares. Okay? Yan. Tapos doon sa retained earnings natin, both appropriated and unappropriated, kasali yan sa computation. Therefore, your answer for number 45 must be letter C. Next, 46. Total amount of share premium on December 31, 2022. So, gagawin mo lang dito is i-add mo lahat ng share premium, no? Pero pagdating sa treasury shares, magkakaroon ka lang ng share premium if the reissuance price is more than the cost. Okay? Tapos, kapag isa dito sa dalawang treasury share transaction ang nag-result sa loss, then it will reduce the share premium of treasury shares. Okay? So, for that one, your answer should be letter dog, 3.33 million. Next, 47. How many shares were issued and outstanding? So tatandaan nyo, ang pagkakaiba ng issued and outstanding shares ay with regard doon sa number 1, subscribed shares. Yung subscribed shares, ano sila, unissued pero outstanding na. Okay? Number 2, yung share dividends distributable naman, not yet issued pero outstanding na din. Okay? And last one, treasury shares natin, that is issued but not outstanding. Okay? So, kung mapapansin natin, yung sa December 1, bale, binawasan lang natin yung outstanding shares ng 5,000 pero yung issued hindi natin ginalaw. Okay? Kasi sabi natin, treasury shares will be considered as issued but not outstanding. Okay? So, letter A ang sagot natin dyan. Next, number 48. What was the effect of SHE accounts as a result of the dividend transactions? So, kapag cash dividends, ang matatamaan niya lang is retained earnings. Pero kapag share dividends, mababawasan yung RE pero madadagdagan yung capital and premium. But on the overall side, wala dapat effect ang share dividends sa total SHE. No? So ang magiging sagot natin dyan is letter C. Okay? So dahil dagdag sa capital and premium, credit sila. Tapos yung sa RE, dahil bawas yan, that's a debit. Okay? Next, 51 and 52, quasi-reorganization. So pag quasi-reorganization, ang objective is to wipe out deficit. Okay? Tapos, saan natin kinukuha yung pang-wipe out natin? Pwede siyang recapitalization method or through the share premium or through revaluation method through revaluation surplus. Okay? Ayan. So, since ang nangyari dito, wala tayong revaluation surplus kasi bumaba yung value ng plant assets tapos nag-contribute ng additional capital yung mga shareholders, no? So ang pagkukuhaan natin ay share premium. Okay? So number 51, answer is letter boy, and number 52, dog. So tandaan nyo, kapag nagkaroon tayo ng quasi-reorganization, kailangan po nating i-appropriate yung RE equal to the amount of deficit wiped out during quasi-reorganization. Okay? 53. Book value per share. Dito tinatanong yung per preference share, no? So pag preference share, that is total SHE divided by number of preference shares outstanding. Okay? Yung total SHE attributable to preference share, that's equal to the total liquidation value, which is par and liquidation premium plus dividends in arrears. So sagot for number 53, letter boy. Number 54, book value per ordinary share. So that's total SHE attributable to ordinary shareholders divided by number of ordinary shares outstanding. So you should be able to compute here, letter B, 160. Next. What amount should be reported as compensation expense under the share option plan? So take note, meron tayong condition, no? May condition dito. So kapag ang net sales ay less than 2.5 million, the number of options to be granted is 10,000 lang. Pero kapag between 2.5 million and 4999999, 'di ba? That will be 20,000. Tapos, pag between 5 and 10 million, 30,000, and more than 10 million, 40,000. So ibabase natin yung number of options to be granted sa level ng sales. Okay? So ano nangyari? Sa 2022, since yung sales ay 4.5 million, so saan siya magfo-fall? Sa 20,000 share options. Pero pagdating ng 2023 and 2024, between 5 to 10 million lang, no? So 30,000 share options sila dyan. Okay? So, ito yung magiging computation natin for number 55. Okay? Tapos, itong 1/3, 2/3, 3/3, this is based on the number of years in your vesting period and pang ilang taon na siya during these years. Okay? So, final answer, 900,000, letter B. Next, number 56, share liability for share appreciation rights naman. So dito kailangan natin siyang i-multiply ng kanyang fair value at year end, di ba? So the fair value of each share appreciation right on December 31, 2022 is 10 pesos. Okay? Tapos ang probability ng vesting ng mga SARs is 90%, no? So i-multiply natin yan sa total fair value. Then don't forget, nasa pang unang taon pa lang tayo, no? So yung liability mo, it will be 300,000. Letter B. 57 and 58. Total income tax expense. And how much is the deferred tax liability? So dito sa problem, isa lang ang tax rate natin. So pwede mo nang masagot agad yung number 57 mo based on your income subject to tax. Okay? So yung income subject to tax natin, that's your accounting income after removing permanent differences. Okay? So yung letter A natin, fines and penalties, that's permanent difference. Yung donation, so sabi naman daw, non-deductible in full amount siya. So permanent yan. Tapos cash dividends received from a domestic corporation 10-4, that is permanent difference. So sila yung tatanggalin mo. No? Yan. So number 57, ito sagot natin. 745,380, letter dog. And for number 58, DTL, that is attributable to your future taxable amounts. Yung D at E, parehas silang future taxable amounts kasi anong gagawin ba natin dito? I-report mo na agad as an expense yung binayaran mo na 480. Ang nireport na prepaid rent is 120, di ba? So yung 120,000, that will be considered uh, FTA. Okay? Tapos, sa letter E naman, sa letter E natin, may difference sa depreciation expense na 100,000, di ba? And normally, mas mataas ang depreciation ng SYD kaysa sa straight line, right? So, additional expense in your taxable income, that will be future taxable, no? So, sagot natin, 66,000. 220 times 30%. So, letter dog. Next. Tatlong items to. How much is the retirement benefit expense taken to profit or loss? So ano-ano nga ulit itong components na ito sa defined benefit plan natin, class? That is, number 1, yung current and past service costs, interest expense on defined benefit obligation, minus interest income on plan assets, plus interest expense on effect of asset ceiling. Okay? Yan. So number 59, letter B. Tapos yung OCI natin, yan yung mga actuarial gains and losses natin. So parehas silang loss, that is letter dog. So add mo sila dalawa. No? Tapos yung number 61, net defined benefit liability or asset, that is the difference between your plan assets and defined benefit obligation. So ito naman po yun. So the obligation will be higher than your plan assets. So meron kang net liability. So number 61, letter C. Next, number 64. What are the reportable segments? Oh, ito ay IFRS 8. So, ang given lang sa atin is P&L ng mga segments, ano? So, first, i-classify mo lang kung profit or loss yung segment. Kasi kailangan muna nating malaman kung alin yung mas mataas between P and L, no? So, pag ganon, kailangan natin malaman sino mas mataas. So, dito lumalabas mas mataas yung profit, di ba? So, yun ang pagbabasihan ng 10% threshold. So, the threshold will be 720,000. So, lahat ng amounts na equal to 720,000 or higher, that will be reportable. Regardless kung positive or negative, ha? So, ang pasok lang dyan ay segments 1, 2, and 3. Okay? So, sagot natin, letter B. Okay? Ayan. Then, let's lipat ko lang yung screen sa pinaka-copy ng ating final pre-board, no? So, ito po yung pinaka-key answers natin for all items. Okay? So, ano nyo na lang, screenshot nyo lang or pause nyo, then screenshot. Okay? Ayan. Okay. So, that's it for our final pre-board discussion. So, good luck and God bless soon-to-be CPAs.